Hey YouTube world, Harvest is Plenty. Thanks for stopping by to check out the video. So today I would like to talk to you guys about normalcy bias and how it could possibly get you killed. I don't see many people talking about the mental side of things and how horribly things could go wrong if you don't take action and be decisive during bad times. Normalcy bias pretty much is the refusal to believe that anything bad could happen. There's even a definition for normalcy bias. Many people explain it in different ways. One of the definitions is this: normalcy bias or normality bias is a cognitive bias which leads people to disbelieve or minimize threat warnings. Consequently, individuals underestimate the likelihood of a disaster when it might affect them and its potential adverse effects. And so we see it all the time, even like the video I did yesterday saying that death squads will be unleashed in America. It is true. There are sleeper cells here in America, and at some point they will attack, and we will all have to deal with it. It's all part of the pretext for World War III and accelerating the efforts to bring out the New World Order in the open. I mean, it's going to happen, and a lot of people stick their head in the sand and pray that it goes away, but it will not go away, and you cannot pray that stuff away. Some things we're going to have to deal with and face head on. It's biblical, and that's what God said that we need to do. But some people, again, normalcy bias kicks in or cognitive dissonance kicks in, and they just refuse to believe it. And so I want to read something for you guys today, and we're going to talk about some examples of some real life scenarios of normalcy bias. So let me just read this to you guys. It says, most of us go about our daily lives in a relative fashion. We have bills to pay, jobs to perform, children to raise, etc. Within that realm of responsibility, we are usually quite aware of what to expect within those areas of our lives. Because of this awareness, we can usually expect some small changes or hiccups, like an overcharge on our cell phone bill or a bad grade on our child's test, and we've learned to deal with them as they come along. It is even likely that we even entertain thoughts of how any of these areas could go horribly wrong, like a major car breakdown or a job loss. And it goes on to say, with all of this careful thought and preparation, there's still an area of human nature that may hamstring us in times of danger. Unless you have trained for crisis through active efforts, accepting the reality that you are experiencing a life-changing event may not be obvious. We see examples of this all the time. People hear gunshots and shouts, but stand there trying to see what happened or to take pictures instead of hitting the ground and diving for cover. When something so unusual or out of the ordinary occurs, we often freeze up or dismiss it as not really happening. This is sometimes called normalcy bias. It says this same behavior may happen within a group at the beginning of a real activation. Each member should be prepared to deal with others' seemingly unhelpful behavior. It may not be that the helpless person is being malicious or useless. It may be that he or she is in some level of shock or acceptance of the new reality. Remember that these people may not have seen terrible things. These people may have seen terrible things, lost loved ones, or have never experienced a real tragedy in person. This is especially true with younger people or children. You know, in some form or fashion, in our own personal lives, we have witnessed normalcy bias in other people, or we were personal victims of it ourselves because we outright dismissed a warning, a threat, or something beyond the realm of possibility in our normal human routine. Oh, that's just conspiracy theory. I don't believe that it can happen. You know, that nothing like that ever happened in our neighborhood. I live in a safe neighborhood. Crime cannot happen here. I live in a gated community. We've never had crime here. Therefore, crime will never happen here. People dismiss things all the time. Blindsided by routine. You know, I think about Hurricane Katrina. They warned people to leave. They said this is going to be one of the most powerful storms ever to hit the Gulf Coast region. And what did people say? This is just a normal hurricane, no different than any other hurricane. I've lived through hurricanes all my life, and I've always survived, so nothing will be different than this one. The levees broke, people drowned to death, they died. Hurricane Helene, the same thing. People dismissed the warnings, they weren't ready, they weren't prepared. When it hit Black Mountain, the Chimney Rock area, Weaverville, Asheville, what did it do? It washed away buildings, houses, businesses, people, pets, farm animals, cars. I seen a U-Haul truck, a large U-Haul truck, just floating down the street. I bet those people believe now. A lot of people have to learn the hard way. I have a friend of mine, he's like that. He'll call me from time to time, but to ask me stuff like, what's going on with Diddy? What do you think? What's your opinion of what's going on with Diddy? You think other people are involved? You think it's like Jeffrey Epstein? And, I always ask him, did you prep yet? Did you prepare yet? And he say things like, man, I don't believe in that conspiracy stuff. I don't believe in the New World Order. I'm going to vote, for this person, and once they win the White House, everything is going to be normal. And I just shake my head, and I told him, I said, man, I love you, but people like you, you're going to have to learn the hard way. And a lot of people will. You're going to have to learn the hard way. I mean, there's warnings that are coming left and right that it's going to be a major cyber attack. It's going to shut the grid down. There are warnings that sleeper cells are alive and well in America, and they're going to hit and cause a mass casualty event. There are warnings that World War III is getting ready to pop off, and America will not sit this one out, that we will be attacked on our homeland, on our shores, and people just outright dismiss it. Once Trump get into office, all of this is going to stop because the Republican Party is tired of the Democrats and the deep state. Trump is going to close the border. He's going to stop the funding for Ukraine, and he's going to drain the swamp. I hear it all the time, especially within the 2A community and within the prepper community. Trump is the answer for all of their problems and ills. Okay? You can believe whatever you want. They said about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, how they're gonna, once Harris takes over as president, she's gonna solidify some things and she's gonna do X, Y, Z. Okay, it's easier for people to stay in the realm of normality and just go vote, cast a vote for the Democrat or the Republicans. It's easy to do that because you're blindsided by routine. It's foreign to you to believe that there are people who our presidents have to answer to, because we've been trained and taught that the president of the United States is the most powerful person in the world. You haven't been trained and taught that Republican and Democratic presidents are just puppets, and that they're selected for office, not elected. You don't believe that terrorists could go house to house, restaurant to restaurant, business to business, or hit 10, 12, 14, 15 cities across America at the same time in a highly coordinated attack. It's so frightening to believe that. People shudder in fear. They freeze up. But it's going to happen, and you guys need to be ready for that. You need to train your brain to operate in times of chaos. You need to take active measures for that. Like, I didn't know how to deal with a stab wound or a gunshot wound, so I went and got trained for that. I've taken a number of Stop the Bleed courses. I've taken a number of TCCC courses. For those of you who don't know what TCCC means, that means Tactical Combat Casualty Care courses. I'm just a regular civilian. I'm not military. I'm not law enforcement. But I want to train my body and train my mind and train physically to be able to operate in theaters of chaos, because I know what's coming. As a Christian, when I read the book of Revelations, it says persecution is coming. It says the beast will make war against the saints of God. I know that's coming. So I prepare for it ahead of time. And I try to warn you guys and other people that these things are coming. But people are blindsided by routine, so they outright dismiss what I say. But one day the grid is going to go down, and there will not be any power for everybody. There will not be any running water. The natural gas that's coming through the pipes, that's going to stop. So that Generac that you have sitting outside of your house that works off the natural gas, that will no longer work. There will be no food in the grocery stores. 911 systems will not work. A lot of people rely on the government to take care of them. All I have to do when the wolf is at my door is just dial 911 and wait for the police to come and deal with the criminal and the wolves. Well, one day you will have to deal with the wolf. And if you're not willing to deal with the wolf, you will die. And I know it's hard to think about, but it's something you must eventually prepare for and work your way around to accepting that belief. So I want to leave you guys with this one quick story. So I was reading this book, and the book was dealing with psychology of events, tragic events, and it was talking about who lives and who dies and why. And a lot of it was based off the mental preparation of the people that was involved in these events. Are people following their gut? Are people who are not blindsided by routine, or who was able to push beyond normalcy bias? And one of the stories was about 9/11, and it was talking about, it was a story about a gentleman, and he goes into work into the World Trade Center. His office was on, like, let's say the 100th floor, like 104th floor or something like that. But anyway, he's at work early in the morning. His office was humming with people, his colleagues. They were coming in, doing their normal routines, getting coffee, eating donuts, reading the morning paper, talking with each other, catching up. Some people were working on reports, preparing for meetings, so on and so forth. And then, boom, they heard a loud explosion. They all rushed to the window and looked out the building, and they could see fire coming out of the other World Trade Center. The first building had been hit by the airplane, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. And they were like, oh, just a pilot. He must have blinded by the fog or whatever. He didn't see the building. It was user error or whatever, and he ran into the World Trade Center. The guy said that a feeling came over him, and something told him to get out of the building. And so he picked up the phone. He tried to call his colleagues in the other building that was hit, but the phone call wouldn't go through. So he called downstairs to the lobby of his building to the security desk at the front desk, and he said, hey, is everything all right down there? Do you guys see anything unusual? And the security guards were like, no, everything is okay in our building. Apparently something happened in the other building. We're going to go over there and check it out. We'll get back to you. Cool. So he said he told his colleagues, he stood up on a chair and he told his colleagues, hey, I think we should leave and get out of this building. And nobody listened to him. They dismissed him. So he decided to walk down all of those flights, him and 5 other colleagues, and they made it out. But everybody in his office that remained and stayed, they all died. Why? Because they were blindsided by routine, and I pray it's not you. That's all I have for you guys today. I'll be back with more videos. May the good Lord continue to bless you and your family.